All right, everybody's asking about the status of the recall. Somebody asked me the other day, Bernie, where's the recall at? This is maybe 5 or 6 days ago. And I said, I think they're up against it. I think they've got a few hundred more to go, and it's coming to an end. And I called the chairman of the recall commission to recall Mayor Jesse Nelson in Lynn Haven. And the chairman's James Finch. I said, James, are you guys going to pull this off? And he said, we got like 3 weeks left. But we still got some work to do. So I believe there's a couple of weeks left. It was 60 days to get this last round of petition signing in order to get a special election for the recall of Mayor Jesse Nelson. And a lot of things have happened since the last time James was on the show. So there's a couple of weeks left. They need more signatures, and James will tell you that they want to exceed the amount of signatures. So this is bulletproof when it actually hits the supervisor of elections. So James, I know everybody's tired of signing, but they're almost done, aren't they?
Well, I hope not. We like very few, and we were unfortunate enough in the first 1,800 that we gathered up, we turned in, and there was 2 that had the wrong dates on it. And so they went back to those dates and went forward 30 days, and we didn't qualify. And they could have took those 2 out because we turned in 200 more than we're supposed to have. So we lost all those. And they said, well, get an attorney involved and see if you can have a hearing. And I said, I've had enough attorneys. I'm just going to do it again.
Yeah.
So thank goodness we done it the second time, which was really the first edition of
because it's 2 rounds.
It's 2 rounds. We made the first round, and it got approved. We're in our second round, which is our third petition, but the second round requires 50% more than the first one. So, Bernie, we've gathered over 6,500 signatures, but we lost 2,000 of them. And so we're going to quit taking signatures on the 15th, which is Saturday week. We will more than exceed the, I believe it's 2,318.
Yeah. And
I want to turn in somewhere around 28 to 3,000 signatures, because when they go through them, I don't want nothing to be wrong. If you turn in a week early, which we go into, we don't get to go back and just say, hey, you only got, you lacking 5.
Yeah.
But when you turn it in, it stops the clock. So we want to be sure that we've got the cushion to do that. And I assure you, we're going to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we've had a lot of effort in this. And
you got a lot of folks volunteering, right? Driving around.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we've got, once we get them recalled, that's not going to solve our problem. That's when our problem really starts, because we're going to be 10 million minimum out of budget. There's 4.9 million that was stolen just by false invoices. Mm-hmm. And that's where I had the problem with the city manager, is that, this was wrong. And she paid $4.9 million off of invoices that should have ever been paid.
We're talking about Vicki Gaynor.
She was warned not to pay those invoices, and they paid them anyway. They turned in $1,288,000 worth of work in 3 days. And then truckloads of debris, with a company that didn't have any trucks.
Yeah.
And so we got that going, and we're going to make the recall, but the accountability that the citizens of Lynn Haven needs, we need a great leadership up there. We got some people that's in fold waiting to be able to run for the election if we have this recall. But gathering up $10 million, they either got to cut the budget to get some of the money, or add taxes, property tax, sales tax, this, whatever. We need the right leadership to get us through this $10 to $15 million deficit we're going to have.
And let me explain real quick what James is talking about. A few months ago, before Vicki Gaynor got fired as city manager by the board, they were telling us that the finances were great. But now that the city manager, Vicki Gaynor, is gone, and now that the police chief's gone, and the only one left really up there is the mayor, we're finding out that the city's in a hole. It's certainly not where they said it was. So you're saying that if the recall is successful, and it looks like it will be, and you get somebody good in there to replace him as mayor, now the real work starts.
That's right.
Because how are you gonna get the city's finances right again?
Well, I think that you're going to have to do an efficiency study on the city. You got 220 employees. If you can get by with 175, that will be a considerable amount of money. But if you need more people, then that's not you're not going to find any money there. I believe they'll find some money there, but that's still not enough to recover that. So then you got the other options with the government is raise the water rates, the sewer rates, the speeding tickets, whatever. That's the only place they got to be able to generate money is by taxing the people.
In other words, rather than cutting expenses for the local government, they're just trying to take more and more from the people.
That's right. That's what's going to happen to be able to, those people there, they all gone home. Some of them went to jail. Very little of them went to jail. But the $4.9 million was just paid out.
And nobody held accountable. They tried to throw you and Margot, the mayor, under the bus for that, but
well, it didn't work.
The real culprits never paid for that.
Well, if you would just see what went on up there, and we had a 3,500 square foot city hall. Now we got a 40,000 square foot city hall. We have a $440,000 kitchen for the policeman to have a birthday party. In case a hurricane doesn't come, what are you going to do with a $400,000 kitchen? Policeman's birthday? Or if you can get him out of the $470,000 gym they built him.
The gym?
Yes, for the policeman. So they got a $470,000 gym. And if I was going, I don't go to a gym, you can tell, but I can tell you, the policeman would rather come in there and get in the gym on the payroll than they had running up down doing their exercise. Which one would they rather do? Go to the donut shop or go to the gym?
They have spent so much money, and I guess when you look ahead, James, you talk about how are they going to spend less money. It seems like
they got to quit spending.
I mean, but they're spending too much on. They're overpaying for projects. They're not taking the lowest bidder, and on and on and on.
They got two $1 million fire trucks. The last fire truck they're going to retire's got probably less than 10,000 miles on it. Just paint it, fix it up, and keep using it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of tough decisions to be made to keep from the people paying their money.
Yeah.
It's...
because the people still have problems. Like the flooding mitigation hasn't been fixed. They just spend, $54,000 on a clock. The big clock at City Hall.
Well, I thought the clock was a good idea if they'd have just paid the $4,000 for the clock, but to make it sing with another $50,000.
You're kidding me. To make that noise?
Oh, yeah, no, but
another $50,000 for the dong.
Yeah, but got a $35,000 budget, and so what do? They buy a $54,000 clock and then make it in two payments. You
can tell it's not their money, James.
I understand that. It's OPM, other people's money. It's real easy to spend. But getting back to the recall, hopefully, if y'all will bear with us and just, if you hadn't signed up in the next couple of weeks, Roberts Hall on both Saturdays, and we're through. And that includes the cushion we need to take to the...
And I know people are fatigued. When are we done with the signatures? We're almost there. This is, in a race or anything, it's that finish line that's important.
Well, they make it real hard, because if I was a politician, I would write it up where it'd be real hard for you to throw me out.
Yeah.
And especially if you politician like the county commissioner making $80,000 or $90,000 a year, he don't want to be thrown out real easy.
Right.
And so the budget has to be squeezed to get back in thing, and that's the only. They need to be squeezed instead of the whole community being squeezed. Right. And like I say, you don't need a fire truck with chrome wheels, but we got them all chromed up and all. And
James, what I keep thinking about is on one hand, we have learned that they've spent too much money, and you got to figure out well, the elected officials, man, they got to figure out how to get back in line, how to get the city's finances in a way. But at the same time, James, there are real projects, real things that need to be done in the community, like flood mitigation.
Well, that's true too. But you can only fix what you can afford.
There we go. I mean, from a guy who's built, big successful businesses, you got to stop the bleeding first.
I mean, you got a budget at your house. Sometimes you can't go to the movie, or sometimes you can't do this or whatever. But the city, when you replace a 3,500 square foot building with a 40,000, you've overbuilt, or
it's unbelievable.
But like I say, a $440,000 kitchen and a gym, that's $1 million. And that shouldn't have ever happened. But it did. And now we're going to try and get the right leadership in there and fix this as easy on the taxpayer as we can do it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be fixed. Just getting them out of office, that's when the problem starts.
Yeah, because now the real work starts. Let's get to let's get to where the process is, and then let's talk more about that. Okay. Like who what kind of mayor you need to fix these problems. But so right now you got another week or two to get all the signatures and more you need, and then you turn it in. Once it's turned in, then the mayor, Nelson, has a decision to make, right?
Right.
Whether he's going to run in a special election when he sees how many people have signed against it, or if he resigns. Let's say if he resigns. I believe the process is that the majority of the board can choose somebody.
That's right.
To replace him. I believe that's the case. 3 commissioners can vote to replace him if the mayor resigns. But if the mayor decides he's going to run again.
Well, I mean, I'd rather the mayor decide he's going to run again, and that way he's got to run against somebody. If he decides not to run, then the commission. What if the commission says, one of the commissioners says, I want to be mayor, and we just have a 4-man commission, like happened when Margot left. They had Dan Russell as the acting mayor, and they didn't replace anybody for 9 or 10 months or a year, or whatever it was.
Wow.
So, but now the city, from what I understand, the city commission can appoint a mayor, or if Jesse runs, and if he wins, he wins. If he doesn't, his opponent wins. But I think I would like to see Jesse run.
Yeah.
I mean? And that way it's not left up to commission. Because, if the commission...
Let the people decide the whole thing.
The people want an election. I mean, they're upset. They've signed over 6,000 people has signed. They want some responsibility and accountability. The chief of police is now gone. The city manager's gone. The mayor's up to be vacated, hopefully, in just a few weeks. He has the right to run again, and hopefully he will. And if he wins, I'll respect that.
Yeah, you've said so.
Strong, effective leadership. 3 words that can mean the difference between prison and your freedom. I'm Al Saleen, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 850-215-0628.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777. You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community.
But I think that he come in under false pretense. He is, what I've seen of him, I don't believe that, I've never seen a preacher be as rude to people as he has been and claim to be a preacher, I just, I don't believe in that. I mean, the preacher, and to come in and like I say, I think that you should show your credit rating when you run for office there. How do you spend your own money? Mm-hmm. He come in bankrupt, Chapter 7, and Chapter 7 is I ain't paying you a damn thing. I'm leaving town or whatever. Chapter 11 is I got some money problems and I want to work it out through the court, and I'm gonna show the court how I can pay you. Walt Disney, I believe, has been bankrupt 13 times over a period of 50 years or 100 years. But you got reorganization that you can go to court and say, I need some time to reorganize. Or I'm just going 7 to hell with all y'all. I'm going to leave. And so it's kind of like politics, when you can get full pay to go home, like a senator, and make the same thing and they won't go home, something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
I really liked that LSU coach when the guy rough talking in the cigar, he said, we're going to fire you and we're going to pay you. He said, enough said. Which door? So he, he got his money and went, and so now I guess, we elected a communist in New York last night.
No, yeah.
What is wrong with these people? No accountability. But let me tell you something. He says, I'm going to give you everything free. Well, them guys that ain't going to work and them people that ain't going to work,
yeah,
they're on his team. You know what I mean?
So we can agree that the new mayor in New York's even worse than Mayor Nelson. But
yeah,
but this community wants accountability, and this community Lynn Haven is setting an example. It'll be the biggest recall, I think, in Bay County history. Yeah. The biggest one.
Hey, Lynn Haven is a great place to live. We had some people that shouldn't have been there, that was there, and had a hell of a time getting them going. Mm-hmm. But 2 of them's gone. They spent $30,000 in lawyer fees or so on trying to get Ramey out of office when they should have got off their ass and run him out.
They had a lot of chances to do it.
Hey, but you're going to pay a lawyer $20,000 or $30,000 to make a decision for you, make you feel better? The lawyer wasn't elected; they were elected.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, he's gone now, and she's gone, and Mayor Nelson promoted her and kept everybody. For 2 years, people were going up there wanting accountability, and they wouldn't give them none. So the people kept coming.
Yeah.
And finally the citizens were strong enough and steady enough that they got them going, which was a good deal. And I appreciate what the people in Haven has done. I like the clock. I didn't need to think he's put $50,000 to make it sing, And but
you might have negotiated the sound a little bit.
I'd bought the $4,000 clock and been through with it.
Yeah.
But Lynn Haven needs someone to come in and take over and do an efficiency study on what's happened.
I saw, James, that the Bay County Republican Party's endorsed Dave Lowry, Dr. Dave Lowry, a retired lieutenant colonel.
That's true.
And I know that you know him.
Hey, I've met him. Him bringing some petitions in.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy is sharp as a tack. Really, really nice guy. Credentials. Got all the credentials.
He's got 2 PhDs. He's a real doctor.
Yeah, well, he was in the Pentagon, I think, for several years, and he had a lot of leadership. He's a retired colonel. I think he's about 58 or 60 years old, fairly young. Told me that I could have stayed and made colonel, but I would have had to stay in Washington, D.C., and I decided to come back home. He's from Walton County, and he's 8th generation. Really nice guy. I think he's more than capable to do the job. I know he's more than capable of the one we got. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully, he's got a lot of support. And
I've talked to him, and he says he's serious about doing his part if he gets elected to bring accountability and show everybody what's really going on behind the curtain.
Well,
but he needs 2 more votes to do it. He's got Judy Tinder. Commissioner Tinder's always been great. I hope that Commissioner Warwick will step up and Commissioner Pat Perno.
Well, I think they'll do what's right for Lynn Haven. They know that Lynn Haven is in a hell of a mess because of the leaders we had. Now, I'm not real happy because they didn't do their job and started firing them. But, one of them says, well, this one won't do that and that one won't do that. But now it's time to step up, and people's going to be watching them and seeing, and there are going to be some changes up there. There got to be some changes.
Yeah.
And for the best. And I believe Lynn Haven's always been a really good city, and there, I think 1912 or whatever. It's a long time, but we're there with a recall. We want to finish it off. If y'all know anybody that wants to run in the near future, that wants to put in the effort to do what's right, Lynn Haven needs you. Like I say, I have met Dave, really nice guy. I think he's qualified as anybody I know.
I'm planning to get him on the show soon, as soon as maybe tomorrow, maybe this week, next week. But for me, it's really, get the recall done. And if he wants to come and let me ask him questions so you can get to know him or anybody else.
Well, I mean, I'd like for him to do that.
For sure.
I've met him and he impressed me. And
I saw him. He did some public comments recently, so I've seen him up there.
Yeah, there's another couple people around there. There's people interested in all those jobs now. And, the city manager, I think they got 30 or 40 applicants for the city manager. And
same with the chief of police. I've heard they're trying to narrow that down.
There's a lot of them at the police and chief's job.
Yeah.
And but we just need to do an efficiency study and see who we need and who we don't need.
Yeah.
We definitely need some leadership, and but the commission, I think the commission will go forward. They know what job they got to do, and the job's just fixing to start because we got to fix it now. We've done, as they say, piss the money away. So now we got to fess up and get it fixed.
Yeah. It's just so easy for government to spend other people's money on other people. And when they do that for votes, that's a double whammy. It's a perverted incentive. People don't spend their own money that way, James.
No.
And so it's difficult to rein in government spending.
It's OPM, other people's money. It's real easy to, whatever. But in the cities and counties, they all get together and say, hey, we need to do a wage and rate study on the employees around here. But they want to do it against Miami and Orlando. Why don't we do it against these 4 counties up here?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's different up here. And,
yeah.
And I know I was working construction in 1977 or 8, and I was making a union job. I was making like $10.50 an hour or something. And I was working with this contractor. I was at Port St. Joe Mill, was working on a boiler down there. And he said, we go into Boston, it pays $28.10 an hour. I said, that's me. I'm going with you. 3 times what I'm making here, just about. I was about 2 weeks. Biggest mistake I ever made.
Really?
I said, if I can get back to Little Haven, I'll never come back up here. And
back in 77 or
yeah,
something?
I said, 3 times as much money wasn't near enough to be in New Jersey.
I'd
rather be in Little Haven.
Yeah.
And so, but it was, like I said, you got to have the right job that fits you and you're proud of and you want to work there. If you're unhappy with your job, can you imagine being unhappy with your job and stay there 30 or 40 years?
Oh, my goodness. No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
But anyway.
James, how about, I know that you're good friends with the former mayor, Margot Anderson, the best mayor I think Lynn Haven's ever had. And I haven't spoken to her in a while, but, I consider her a friend now as well. Have you talked to her recently? How are her spirits? How's your good friend Lee? How is
Lee's had a lot of cancer problems, and he's in good shape right now. Best shape he's been in the last. They've really been having it hard the last few months. Margot's a really good person, and I want to tell you something. I stood up for Margot, and Margot, bless her heart, said, James, if you keep doing this, they're going to indict you. I said, well, they might as well get the damn pen ready, and they did, and so, but it worked out, and it cost me a ton of money to do what I had. I had this big time lawyer. I had Epstein's lawyer, and Dershowitz had got him that job, to do Epstein's deal. Well, I wound up firing him in the middle of the case and run him off. And the judge telling me how he didn't know that the judge was speaking out of turn because he didn't know the problem me and him had. I threw him out of my damn truck and told him to get him an Uber back to Miami.
Well, Guy Lewis, I think the judge said he was the best lawyer he's had. He was surprised you did it. And he was, of course, also a former U.S. attorney. And without him, you wouldn't have gotten as far as you've gotten. But you decided there were some things he was really good at, and he wasn't doing some things you needed done. And your second lawyer got those things done.
That's right.
It ended up being a team effort. And
but you know,
two juries refused to convict you. The second jury said, you don't have any other witnesses other than Michael White, the guy in handcuffs? And where's the guy he bribed? And when there weren't any, they came back pretty quick with a not guilty verdict, and it was finally over.
Yes, it was finally over, for me. But let me tell you something. They offered me that morning, said they'd offered me the afternoon to plead guilty. Said, we'll give you 6 months probation and, whatever. I said, stick it,
Yeah.
I said, I'm not pleading guilty under any circumstance. Well, the next morning at 8 o'clock, we're going to, said, we got a new deal. And my lawyer's there and says, we're going to give you 6 months probation, time served. You can walk out of here this morning in 10 minutes. You don't have to see a probation officer. You don't have to do anything. I said, stick it again. I said, we're going to court. And so my lawyer said,
I didn't know that.
My lawyer said, well, wait a minute. I said, well, let me tell y'all something. There's 4 or 5 lawyers in there. I said, I got about $4.5 million, $5 million in this deal. Y'all give me half my money back and I'll take it. I thought I was going to have to pick them up off the floor.
So your attorney said maybe you should take the deal, and you said only if you give me half of my money back. And they said we're going to trial.
We're going to trial. And so that was. But I was looking back, and that was. You walk out of here, just plead guilty. I'm the winner, you the loser. And they did the same thing to Margot. They said 0 to 6 months, and they lied to her about it. They give her a year's probation. Then they sent her to prison for 30 days, so she'd have a picture of United States Penitentiary, whatever.
For making a false statement.
False statement of when she knew somebody.
Think of all the false statements Vicki Gaynor made that contradicted each other, one to the judge and one to the FBI. A bunch of them.
Hey, but those statements were under oath on the stand.
I know.
Margot was at her house at 10 o'clock at night, and 2 FBI agents come up there, and the FBI agent's the only one that can charge you with a felony. Both of them get together and say, I think you lied. The other one said, me too. So you go to court, both of them say you lied to them.
And I remember...
You don't even have to go to grand jury to get charged.
I remember being there, and Margot did not even say she lied. She said the statement was false. She didn't even want to do that. Now, she did tell me this, James, and you know this. She told her lawyers and the Justice Department that she'd rather go to trial. And you know what they told her, the Justice Department, the prosecutors? They said, if you win, if you're not convicted, now this is 4 Christmases long, almost 4 years she underwent this persecution. They said, if they find you not guilty, the prosecutor said, we'll meet you on the courthouse steps and we'll indict you again. So you better take the deal. So she didn't make a plea deal, rather. She took a plea that she made a false statement of 2 or 3 months to Michael White, who she barely knew and who she blew the whistle on. It was disgusting.
Hey, she come to me right after that meeting because they wouldn't let me in any of the meetings because they didn't like talking to me. And so I said, Margot, those guys, Michael White, Adam Albritton, all those have been waiting 2.5 years to be sentenced. They hadn't sentenced any of them. And they going to say, hey, y'all going to get up there and testify against her, and what you say is how much time you going to get.
Yeah.
If you make me look really good, you might walk out of here with probation. Whatever. Matter of fact, one of them did walk with probation. He admitted to taking $10,000 a week for 12 weeks.
Adam Albritton, the attorney, the one I think it was most culpable of anybody. He's an officer of the court.
They give him 12 months probation, put her in prison for 30 days. And I said, Margot, they're going to get up there, and one of them's going to say, I stole $4.9 million from them. I'd still be stealing if they hadn't caught me. But she's a bigger liar than I am a thief if you don't believe she says this or whatever. And he's going to get a better deal.
That's why...
They use leverage.
Yeah, that's why Adam Albritton and the others were not sentenced until after they would have the opportunity to testify against Margot Anderson. That's why they did that. It was wrong from beginning to end.
It's leverage.
It's extortion.
Well, I mean, the feds can do that. I mean, that's what they do. But
they can lie to us a lot, James, but if they even accuse us of lying, straight to jail.
Hey, the only way we can fix that is have term limits, on them senators and, whatever. When you pay a guy, you can give him full pay to go home and he won't go home, there's something wrong.
But Lynn Haven, and this is why people understand, well, they say, the most important politics is local government. Well, Lynn Haven is setting an example. Lynn Haven is making a difference, and I'm happy to see it. I haven't seen it before, not like this.
Hey, they're gonna make a difference because the people in Lynn Haven is gonna make sure, and whoever they get in there is gonna do their policies and their procurement policies and all that, where this can't happen again. Mm-hmm. There was $4.9 million written out on fake invoices, and when you remember the finance officer gets up in front of the commission when the mayor wasn't there and Vicki wasn't there, said, I've had this information for 2 years and I hadn't been able to say anything about it. We don't have $19 million.
Yeah.
And so, and that's wrong. And they need to, they're out of the office, some of them's out of the office, and so if the people come sign this stuff and we get it finished up, we're gonna have the signatures. We'll have the signatures tomorrow to qualify. But I'm not gonna take just that down there and they throw out 10 or 12.
Yeah.
I've got to have me a couple hundred.
So how can people, if you live in Lynn Haven and you want to sign the petition this week or next week is the end of it, and they're going to turn it in early to make a point, I think, more than anything. Yeah. How can people sign this petition?
They can come by Phoenix Construction. They can call 265-4210. We'll take them one, or we'll go pick up one. But they can do the recall and even recall, and somebody will bring it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we'll be Saturday.
And it's on Facebook. Recall Mayor Nelson.
We'll be on Saturday, all day Saturday at the Roberts Hall, and we get in the cushion to turn in to the election supervisor, that when they go through and say, well, I can't read this name or, whatever, we're going to have enough to make sure that...
James, I want to ask you a question. I mean, if people are tired, they're fatigued, geez, we're tired signing this again, and everybody's fed up and tired of this, and a lot of people feel defeated, and it's just too hard to get things changed. Now, you had about 3 years of fighting the Justice Department, wanted to frame you and put you in prison. And you had your own issues. You had your own health issues going on. And you're trying to run a business, and they're conspiring at Lynn Haven to prevent you, although that's a very small part of your business. But it's your town. You grew up there. And after 3 years, you'd think that you'd be exhausted. And then you're trying to catch up on stuff and family and everything else. And then you get into this. And this is long and drawn out. And I thought you'd be saying, oh, geez, I'm tired. I'm glad this is over. But you're not, James. You're rolling up your sleeves and you're saying now's the time the real work's getting started. And you sound inspired to get to work. How do you have the energy and what drives you?
What drives me is when they tried to frame me, and it took them 2.5 years to even, 18 was a hurricane, and they indicted me March of 21, and they left the Tallahassee grand jury and went to Pensacola and recharged me on that 666 statute that the Supreme Court threw out 2 months after me and Margot was finished with our business, and they couldn't even have charged us.
Basically, what he's talking about is the 666, only half the states in the country, according to the U.S. appeals courts across the country, were able to charge people with bribery, public officials with bribery, without evidence, without a quid pro quo. And the charges against James Finch and Mayor Anderson were under the statute 666, which said that a wink and a nod was enough to convict somebody. And even without evidence, they couldn't convict you. That's really unbelievable.
Well, I was in a coma. I thought that was
pretty
I thought that's a pretty good alibi.
You think so?
I was in the hospital, and then I proved all that, and the judge says, I'm not going to have the federal government with all their resources do this. I'm going to give you the secret grand jury.
Transcript.
I'm going to redact the names, and I'm going to give you the transcript.
First time Judge Walker ever did that.
He says, I've never seen it done. He said, I know it's been done. I've never done it, but I'm going to give you the transcripts. So I got the transcripts, and every time they would put something in evidence, they would have to give it to me. And so, I mean, I had all of it.
Without, I mean, fewer than 1%, way fewer than 1% of federal defendants ever get to see the transcripts of what they told the grand jury to get an indictment. Would you have defeated this without knowing what they told the grand jury, without seeing all the lies?
I think I could have, but it was helpful. And I'm going to tell you something. There's only one country in the world right now using the grand jury, and it's the United States. When I was in trial, there was two, us and Liberia. But most people don't know when you go to a grand jury, there's not a judge in there. It's two prosecutors and the jury that they picked.
Like 20 people, but that's anonymous, and that has to be anonymous.
It's not, but you cannot take your lawyer in there.
Right.
So you going in there against them, you can't take a lawyer, or you call a lawyer, he'll tell you not to go.
Right.
And so...
grand jury was supposed to be to prevent the federal government from just, indicting anybody they want, but it's turned out to be just a rubber stamp. I think every defendant, the most important
he should get a copy of it.
Every defendant, that would be the most important fix in the U.S. justice system.
That's right. When somebody gets up there and swears under oath that you done something wrong, you should be able to confront him or her.
Mm-hmm.
Grand jury, you don't even know who they were.
Yeah.
So if you got the two prosecutors up there, and that's what I'm saying, when I read my indictment, that the last week of October and November, first week of November, I was down at Key West with Margot on my yacht. I was entertaining her for future votes.
That's what they told the grand jury.
Yeah, future votes. Well, then I'd go over there and say, Judge, I'm in the hospital. I'm asleep. Judge, here's my boat. The boat that I had her on was sold 5 months before the storm come.
Do you think that'd be enough to get a case thrown out? No, they continued on.
Hey, he did not throw that out, and I was mad with my lawyer, and I said, listen, I want to sanction his ass. You know what I'm talking about? I said, first of all, it's pretty obvious that they lied to the grand jury, and they indicted me. Mm-hmm. So he should have told them, you go and get another, I'm throwing this out, you go get another indictment from somebody else, and if you bring one in like this, I'm going to put all y'all in jail. That's what he should have done. But he was a Obama judge, and he wasn't going to do anything to throw anything out. And so we went through the years of it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I spent all that money. And Margot didn't have any money for the lawyers, and I helped her with her attorney fees. Went to the judge and told the judge that I was going to help her and got his permission. He says, I wished I had a friend like that if I had in trouble. So, I mean, they was trying to keep me from helping her.
So when I asked you what drives you and why aren't you too exhausted and fatigued to continue on this fight, it's an uphill fight, but geez, 2 out of the 3 are gone and Mayor Nelson's on the ropes. James, I don't think it's just getting even or revenge or any of that stuff. I think there's more to this that's driving you. I mean, I'm sure that, they didn't think they could just do this to you and get away with it.
That's
number one, but there's more to it, I think.
Well, I can tell you this. Somebody asked me, says, you upset with Ramey? I said, yes, I'm upset with Ramey. I'm going to try and get his job. And he knows it. And he said, well, what are you going to do after that? I said, I'm through with him. I don't care. You know what I'm talking about? He does not need to be the chief of police.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said, I'm through with him. I says, I don't hate anybody because it takes a continuous effort to hate somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to give him that much time. But I can tell you this, he's out of my life. He's not up there anymore. Matter of fact, he's scratching an unemployed ass. And just like Vicky, Vicky up there, she lied, she cheated. Ricky and her both did that. They come in and wore a wire on me and Margot. knowing that I'm getting all the evidence.
Yeah.
I should have known.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, I get the tape, and I'm listening to him trying to set me up. So I said, I put in right then to get them out of Little Haven if I could.
Yeah. And I mean, and you know, when they wore the wire, they were trying to trick Vicky Gaynor and Ricky Ramey. They wore a wire for the FBI and for Sheriff Ford. And they tried to trick James and Mayor Anderson into overpaying for the new city hall. And James and Mayor Anderson objected to spending all of that money on the gym, all of that money on the kitchen. And they could not trick you guys into wanting to overspend taxpayer money. And then they ended up overspending taxpayer money. Is that insane or what?
Well, you know, I was telling them that they didn't need to spend that money, and it was too much money, and the architects was robbing them, and, you know, it was whatever. Then I get the evidence sent to me. They had to send me a drove of evidence. So I just got a tape in it. And so I plugged that tape in and get to listen to it, and it was Ramey outside my office. He says, Larry, can you hear me? Larry Borghini was that fat FBI guy.
The special agent.
Had a big ugly head.
The special agent.
So, special agent.
He was running around with the sheriff's top guy, Major Jimmy Stanford, setting up everybody.
Yeah. So he says, yeah, I'm outside. I can hear you. Your audio's good. So, and then he walks in my office, and my daughter's at the front desk, and I hear him talking to her. And then he's back there talking to us in the meeting. Then I knew he was wearing a wire. So he was setting up, and he was getting ready to, and I was talking about how I could help him build the stuff or, you know, whatever, save him some money. So the next commission meeting, they went up there, and I told them, I says, listen, I got y'all to approve the design bill and a guaranteed maximum price on the city hall. And I said, I think y'all should do that. That's absolutely the best way. I said, but I don't want a damn thing to do with it. I'm through. I'm out of here. So I walked out, and they was trying to get their charge against me for trying to obstruct justice or whatever. And they sent the deal in there, and I told them, I'm out of here. I don't want nothing to do with it.
They didn't expect you to walk away from money. But you were willing to walk away if they were going to spend that much money.
Yeah, but I said, I'm through with it. But, you know, it was bad. I tell you, they were dirty, and it cost the city a lot of money, and I put a lot of effort in. And when they do that recall and they get some new commissioners in there, I'll be happy as you
James,
can be.
you've been talking to me a lot about how the job's just going to begin and how you really want to make sure that the city doesn't overcharge the people in their raising their taxes and their assessments and this, that, and the other, because the permit fees and the things that there are 412 cities in the state of Florida, and Lynn Haven's permit fees and those things are among the highest, if not the highest. You can afford it, James. Why are you so concerned about that stuff? Because you keep talking about it to me.
Well, I don't like the fees and, you know, whatever they're doing. They run the building inspector off up there because Vicky got in a problem.
Mike Gordon, who has a lawsuit.
She tried to bribe him, and he wouldn't take it, so she had him fired and had Ramey arrest him. He's got a suit against the city of Lynn Haven. Really nice guy, did a good job. They have not replaced him. They moved into City Hall 8 or 9 months before it was ready. They only got the occupancy building permit the last month or so. For almost 9 months, they're inside the City Hall here when they're not supposed to be.
Operating illegally. They will take your home if you do that.
Vicky signed off on it. Says the temporary occupancy approved verbally. Who is verbally? You know me. So
completely illegal.
She signed off on it. So we're in there arguing about the City Hall. They're sitting there in the commission meeting, and a pipe busts above their head, and it starts raining on them.
During the meeting, there's in the multi-floor City Hall, it's like it's raining. It's like Hurricane Michael again.
Yes, it's just flooding the City Hall. They had to shut the City Hall down and take everybody outside.
They had to stop the meeting because it was raining from the ceilings. And by the way, I can't help but wonder, you know, if there were, I mean, the timing of that was unbelievable. Anyway, I've got my own thoughts about that.
They got Surf Pro, they got everybody, but they had not tested the pipes. It's moved in and the whole deal. But I'm sitting up there and talking about the building construction they did there and not having a permit, and the pipe busts and starts raining on their head. Then they have to evacuate the city hall. It fills up with water. They spend $150,000 on ServPro to come in and clean it up, and mop it up, and vacuum it out. And I said, if I was the insurance company, I would say, what are you doing in that building?
Yeah, where's the CO? Was it valid?
Supposed to be in there. I don't know if they're going to pay for it but see, there's not a whole lot of transparency up there putting out. There's a $150,000 bill up here. Did the insurance pay it, or did the citizens have to pay it again? Was that another mistake?
And all the lawsuits that are, and there are a lot of lawsuits in Lynn Haven, and you'd always hear, Commissioner Warwick and others saying, "Oh, we're worried about these lawsuits. We got to listen to the lawyers all the time." Well, doing that has put them even more legal jeopardy. I mean, even if there were no more hits to the city financially, as you point out, it's going to be a hell of a job to get it right again. A hell of a job.
They'll get it right with the right people. And it's Lynn Haven's on its way to recovery. Some of them's not going to like what they're going to have to pay, because prices are going to go up, and they're going to have to tighten their belt, and we need the right people up there to do that.
Yeah.
But what has happened is our fault. We didn't hold them responsible.
Yeah. Well, whatever happened, by the way, last time you were on, it was almost Halloween. And you got, I've never seen you really get mad, but you clenched your fist and you were pissed that the city had canceled Halloween or something.
Yeah.
What ended up happening with that?
Well, they said they couldn't afford to have Halloween and give away the candy. So I gave the candy away at the Roberts Hall.
Oh, so instead of giving it to the city to give away, you just did it yourself.
We did, yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so
all right.
So, but anyway, but you don't count it. If I'd have been city manager, I'd have said, "Hey, we fixing to have Halloween and y'all working comp time or whatever you want to do, but we're having Halloween, and so they can't afford Halloween. What in the hell are we doing with this $40,000 building? We entered into contracts that we didn't have the money to pay.
Wait, $40 million? 40, how many?
40,000 square feet.
40,000 square feet building, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so.
Well, any parting shots, James? Anything you want to tell everybody?
Just go sign up, and we're going to make it a lot better. And I know people got tired of signing that, but we worked our ass off. We made a mistake and lost 800 signatures right off the bat. We made them up. We're going to get the city of Lynn Haven right. Great place to live. And thank you for doing what y'all done.
And thank you for being on the show, James. Lee Anderson, Mayor Margot's husband, sent me a text the other day. He said, "Hey, are you retired? You haven't done a show in a while." And I said, "No, Lee, I'm not retired." Thanks for being on. I'll have Dave Lowry on, the guy who's thinking about running for mayor. And
I wish you'd introduce him. He will come see. He's a really nice guy, and I think he's
yeah. There's a lot going on in Panama City that I need to tell you about. Oh my goodness! And also in Lynn Haven, when I tell you a police story soon, you're absolutely not going to believe it. But let me wrap it up by thanking those of you who throw a tip in the tip jar every month by being a patron at patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. Thank you so much. It's the best money you can spend on the internet. It's only $5 a month. And I know that you know that. So thank you, Bernie. Patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It's anonymous. It's easy. And you can quit at any time. Also, thank you to the Unknown Patriot for your support. And I'll be back with you soon.
You have to have faith, you have to believe that we're in control of our own destiny, that you can save me, that I can save you. You have to have faith that any of this is true.